welcome. My name is Natalie. Welcome to Self-Care, nourishing the mind, body, and soul. We're so pleased to offer you this free wellness services event, and we really welcome your feedback. Following the workshop today, if you could kindly take a moment to complete a brief survey, taking a picture of the QR code that you see here on your screen from your mobile device, or by clicking on the link in the description below. I just wanted to remind everybody that this is the second session of a series that we run here at Surrey Place. We provide and offer this series virtual as well as pre-recorded. The first one is the meditation and mindfulness, and then this one today that we're doing is the self-care. We also offer a nutrition event in this series, as well as a really fun interactive vision board workshop as well. So today, our outcomes for this workshop is to learn practical ways to take care of ourselves, understand the importance and the necessity of self-care. I know that it's a bit of a buzzword these days, but we are going to identify self-care options that hopefully will work for you and develop a personalized self-care plan. The first thing that I'd like for us to do is just to take a moment here and kind of get centered, get our minds wrapped around thinking about ourselves for the next hour or so. Really sort of honing in on the things that are important to us as an individual. Some of the things that make us who we are. We sort of will tap into our core values, and think about what is our purpose other than maybe, our work or our role at home as a partner or a caregiver or a parent. What are our core values? What are the things in life that really mean the most to us? So take a moment here and find something to write on. You can use your phone if it's easier, or your note section on your iPad or your phone, or pen to paper. We have a few activities that we will do throughout this workshop together, so you definitely will need a place to write. Thinking about our purpose, our why, really helps us be accountable and helps us get aligned with who we are, where we want to be, maybe some of the things that we might want to do less of in our life, or something that we want to do more of, bring more into our life that will bring us some joy. What is self-care? First of all, self-care is not selfish. This topic is extremely important to me. I am also a certified holistic life coach. I work with women primarily, and mostly on this very topic of just feeling really burnt out, not caring for ourselves, being too many things to too many people in too many places. And, we are kind of raised, if you're here as a woman or identifying as a woman, then we've been raised as caregivers, and to feel guilty right from the get-go of doing things for ourselves before we do things for others. And I know that that's not for everybody, but I know certainly for myself and my generation and all of my friends that I speak with, a lot of my colleagues, we instantly feel selfish when we start thinking about doing things for ourselves. And if anything that you get out of this workshop today, I hope that that's something that you no longer think or feel. It doesn't have to be, caring for ourselves doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be time consuming. It doesn't have to be something that is overly expensive. Although, sometimes it is nice to maybe go have a massage or get ourselves something new to wear, maybe for an event that's coming, so we can feel good about ourselves. Getting our toes done or our nails done are some of the common sort of fluffy things, but they don't have to be those things, the things that we see in the media social media, commercials, magazines, so on and so forth. It doesn't have to be those things, but those things are also just as great. I believe that self-care is deeply personal. I think that all of us have things that make ourselves feel better. And maybe something that I find rejuvenating is not something that you would also feel the same about, and that's okay. The important thing is that you are finding moments of self-care and self-love and self-compassion that work for you, and not what someone else is telling you that you should do. It's important not to compare yourself to what others are doing to care for themselves. And, you know, I think that if we can engage in some regular self-care, then we start to sort of find a little bit more balance in our lives, you know, maybe feeling a little less burnt out or resentful. Self-care is deeply entwined with self-love, loving ourselves and respecting ourselves. And, you know, it's about making ourselves a priority, even if it's for 10 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be, you know, a whole weekend or a month or a week or even a whole entire day. Just prioritize yourself. And if it's new to you, just practice a couple minutes of doing something, you know, like sitting and taking a deep breath once the kids are off to school, and making yourself something warm that you love to have, and just sitting and just being, you know, that's self-care, right? So let's take a look at the pillars of self-care together here. Look at sort of the different areas that we can be focusing on when we're looking to care for our overall well-being. The first is physical. Obviously, we want to be sure that physically we are caring for our bodies. And then the next thing that I have posted here is our mental health. I know for certain that most likely all of our mental health has been really affected over the last few years with the pandemic. You know, our bandwidth has been stretched and stretched and stretched. I have truthfully put mental health here at the top because it's really something that we all need to be prioritizing. And so if you're engaging in any kind of self-care, you may want to start just with, you know, mental health, maybe a moment of meditation, a quiet walk, taking a few minutes to take a few deep breaths, checking in to see how you're feeling mentally and physically. Then we have emotional, we have environmental, financial, social, recreation, and spiritual. So we're going to look at each one of these a little more closely and talk about some of the things that we can be doing to look after ourselves in these areas. Physical self-care is something that is really something we should be doing every day. We're not meant to be sitting as humans. We're not meant to not be connecting. As human beings, we're meant to be moving and connecting. And so, you know, I just want to remind people when it comes to physical self-care, it doesn't have to be something fancy. It can be dancing in your living room while you're putting your dishes away. You know, it could be just stretching, taking a chair and pulling it out from your dining room table and just, you know, putting your arms on the back of it and just stretching out your back and the back of your legs and stretching your body and connecting with your breath. Nutrition, what we're putting into our bodies, you know, what we're eating, what we're drinking, staying hydrated. These are all sort of things that we would think as basic needs. But I know for certain when my kids were little, I'd go an entire day and not eat anything. You know, I'd be completely, you know, jacked up on 3 coffees and not enough water and wonder why I was exhausted and had a headache at the end of the day. You know, just prioritizing being able to have small meals and things throughout the day to make sure that we're staying nourished. And just as a reminder, we do have an entire workshop on nutrition. So I encourage you to take part in that session as well. It's really, really interesting. And I think that you'll find a lot of the information extremely valuable. So again, we're just looking at different ways that we can take care of our body: jumping jacks, dancing, going for a walk, stretching, hiking. I think you've got the idea, but I just really wanted to remind you that you can do it with others, and also get, your social fix in with a friend or a family member. Being outside in nature just is proven to make us feel better. And just looking at ways that you can squeeze any of these options into your day to be able to care for yourself a little. The second activity that I have for us here is this I should activity. I use it often in some of my trainings. I think that it really helps you hone in on some of the things that you really want to do, because you're always starting with I should instead of I will. So on that same piece of paper where you would have jotted down some of your whys, your core values, some of the things that are important to you, just take a moment here and write a few of the things that you hear yourself saying often. I should. I should do yoga more. I should drink more water. I should call my girlfriends. I should call my mom. Any of those things that you hear yourself saying often, just jot that down. Okay. So our mental well-being, our mental self-care, this is something that is very, very, very important. Please, please, please look after your mental health and your mental well-being. And this may look like a few different things. Some days you may need to just take a break and take a deep breath. On other days, you may feel like you need to use your brain a little bit more. Maybe you want to do a crossword puzzle, or, maybe you want to sit down and finish some sort of craft or knitting or something that you have on the go, just to be able to use your mind and your hands a little bit. Maybe it means taking a walk and listening to something on your phone, a book, or, a speaker that you really love. A podcast. That's something that I try to do at least once a week. I know I don't have enough time or even the focus these days to be able to sit and read a full book, and I get super frustrated. So I have started either listening to them while I walk, and then also if there's something I see, I try to find it on a podcast, an area of interest. And just as I'm walking and taking a break from my computer, my work, my family, all my responsibilities, I can just sort of be by myself and be engaged in something that I really enjoy. Meditation, mindfulness, just to be able to give our brains a break. We all need to be able to give our minds a break of the worry, of the what's next. So please be kind to your mind. Positive affirmations are super powerful. This is something that was introduced to me about 10 years ago. I started practicing meditation and yoga to look after my own health and well-being. When I went back to work, I had small kids. My husband was traveling a lot. I was working a really powerful job. Not powerful in like what I was being paid, but just powerful in the impact and the responsibility that I had day to day for my clients. And I took that job so seriously, and I gave it my 100%. And at the end of the day, I was just so exhausted and depleted. And, in my own journey of self-care and self-love and self-compassion, I started with meditation and yoga, and I started with simple affirmations. And at first it may feel a little silly, but I can tell you that it really works. And saying these things like, I love myself, I choose to be happy, I am safe, I am kind, I'm worthy of love, Our thoughts influence how we feel. The positive things that we say to ourselves matter. And the negative things, all the negative things that we say to ourselves, they have an impact on us. And so I really want to stop you here and remind you that if you are being critical of yourself or saying negative things, I hear so many of us saying all the time, like, oh, I'm so bad. I did this, this, and this. Well, that's not bad. That's human. You're not bad because, you went to Tim Hortons and had a Timbit. This is not bad. Oh, I'm so terrible. I'm so lazy. I'm not smart enough. We want to turn those negative things that we tell ourselves into something positive. And so I challenge you to do that sometime after you watch this. Catch yourself saying something negative and quickly turn it around and turn it into something positive. A little challenge for you. This slide is talking more about what we just covered together, and we've talked about being kind to ourselves, the things that we say to ourselves, either in our minds or out loud, all of that negative chatter, it's negative energy. It has a negative effect on our bodies and our well-being. So if you wanted to start with self-care or self-love or self-compassion, start with what you say to yourself or about yourself. The big piece here too is to really remind yourself the importance of not comparing yourself to other people. Our fitness goals, the way we look, the things we have, these are all individual. We're not meant to be the same as other people. It's sort of like, boring really that particularly women, that we all try to look the same. I mean, there's fashion trends, there's things that we see in the media, and there's things that inevitably we will sort of follow and be a part of. But, reminding yourself that you're an individual, you're special, there's no two people like you is pretty amazing and pretty magical. And, trying to be like somebody else can really be a long journey and a long fight, because it's not possible. It's not possible to be the same as somebody else. And it can end up costing a lot of money and a lot of energy and a lot of our mental health, trying to be like somebody else. Start with being you. Say kind things to yourself. Those are the things that you want to focus on with your self-care. Practice those positive affirmations. And if you're feeling a little lost about who am I and your why and your values, that's okay too, because that happens sometimes, particularly if we've gone from being a young single person to then maybe perhaps having a relationship or a partner, or even getting married and then having a family. And then, we get busy with all of the things that are about other people, that sometimes it's really hard to remember who we are, what's important to us. So take some time. Maybe you want to journal and think about those things. Practice gratitude, reminding yourself of the things that you do have and the things that are awesome about you is a great way to practice emotional self-care. Starting your day off with gratitude and ending your day with gratitude is a really great way to practice self-care. And just know that it's okay to ask for help. If you're feeling really overwhelmed, if your mental health is not feeling well, please seek out help. Speak to your doctor, maybe get a life coach, or speak to somebody that is a supportive person in your community, and try to get the support you need that way. This one might not really resonate with everybody, but looking at our environment, the space around us, the energy in our homes, this is huge for me. So I'm like a futzer and an organizer. The energy in my home really, really affects how I feel. So I'm an organizer, a declutterer, a donator. I'm always changing up my space, which my family doesn't love. But if I could be alone in my home, I like to do that. I like to move things around. I feel like it really helps me feel grounded, strangely enough. And actually, all of the women in my family do it. So there you go, a little quirk about me. You want to notice the energy in your space. Do you need to maybe add some light, maybe some essential oils or candles? Plants are a beautiful thing to clean our air, just to have something alive. I know that it's not possible for all of us. If you're here as a parent who has a child with special needs, I know sometimes plants end up on the floor. I know that some of these things that we talk about today are not going to be realistic for everybody, but I just thought it would be important to give examples of them all. Maybe you want to just get like a little plant and keep it on your shelf in your bedroom. These are just little small things that sometimes we just don't think about because we're just caught up in the rut. Looking for a small space maybe that you can carve out to curl up and read a magazine, write an email, read a book, listen to some music. Add a few personal touches. Maybe there's some family photos that you're like, oh, I really want to get that printed. And then also like looking not just from your inside space, but also your outside space. So if you're in an apartment, you want to look at maybe if you have a balcony, just making sure that that's clear and having a chair out there so that you can utilize that outdoor space. Many of us just use our balcony for storage, but maybe we'll want to declutter and get that stuff out of there that we're not using, or donate it. Somebody else may use it. And I just have like a nice space to be able to sit outside. So important during the last few years to have some outdoor space, right? Yeah, and then if we're lucky enough to live in a home and have some outdoor space around us, we're looking at, just decluttering, keeping things tidy. Sometimes yard work or gardening can seem daunting, but it is proven to be very good for our mental health, to have our hands in soil and connecting with nature. Once again, I know that if we have multiple children or a busy child, or maybe a child that is on the spectrum that's hard to manage outside or inside for that matter, I know that some of these things are going to be a bit of an eye roll for some of you, but maybe just pick one or two things that could be possible. What's possible? What is possible? Let's think about that. We have to talk about finances. I know. It's a thing, right? So we want to stay on top of our finances because this is a big worry. This is our worry. This is the thing that most of us worry about the most. If it's not the well-being of our family and the health of our children, those types of things, we're worried about money and finances. So what are the things that we can do to stay on top of finances so that we're not adding to our stress? And this is a self-care thing, finding the time to sit down and do your taxes. That is what I'm doing this weekend. This is what I'm doing this weekend because I know once it's done, it's going to be off my mind, and that opens up space to be able to do something that might bring me joy, right? You get the idea? Be mindful of your spending. We are bombarded with messages that we don't have enough, that we are not enough, that we need more. We don't. I think that the pandemic has really shown us how little we need to be happy. Right? We need food, we need shelter, we need our health, we need our family, we need some income coming in, but we don't need all the big bits and baubles. This is just sometimes mindless. We're all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. Filling that void with just things. They're just things, right? We don't need all these things. We want to try to have a healthy relationship with money. Maybe stay on top of our debt, save for something that will bring you joy, right? So don't buy all that Amazon junk and maybe save that money and go on a trip or buy yourself a big ticket item. Like maybe you need a new bench for your backyard, or, you know, a new stroller for your child, or whatever, a car, a couch, whatever. Have realistic goals. And, you know, it's something that not all of us talk about, but make an appointment with your bank. Make sure that you have things in the right places. Make sure, you know, that you're not being charged for things you shouldn't be charged for, because that happens. Banks can be tricky. Anyways, that's enough about finances. We had to talk about it. We did. Let's move on. Social and nurture is probably my favorite area to speak about. This is the feel good stuff. So it's coffee with a friend, maintaining healthy relationships. I have really missed my girlfriends, my friends, my core support group during the pandemic a lot. We tried Zoom. It was fun the first couple times, and then it really wasn't the same. I don't know how you feel about it. But this is, you know, the fluffy stuff, getting your nails done, a massage, maybe a new pair of shoes, date night. I mean, things are opening up. This is something that we could maybe do if that's something that would bring you joy. Scheduling a dinner party or having people over for a game night. It's also about setting healthy boundaries as well, right, with other people, and, you know, being able to say no if you don't have capacity to be able to be there for somebody else. Setting those healthy boundaries. No is no. You need to be able to say no and not feel guilty. And I know this can take a whole lifetime of work, but having healthy boundaries is a big part of your social self-care and well-being. So those are just some things to think about, right? It's good. You want to spend time with others, but you want to spend time when you're looking after yourself with the people that make you feel good, right? So you can spend time with other people all day long and still feel really empty and drained if they're not your people. You have to get something out of it as well if it's self-care. Spiritual self-care is really important. I think it's a big piece of taking care of ourselves, and this is going to look different for everyone. It's a area that I'm very careful about when I'm speaking about it, because I know that people can have very strong feelings. But I just want to start by saying that it doesn't have to be religious. So even though this is spiritual, it doesn't have to be religious, but it certainly includes religion, and how and how that is for you is going to be different for maybe me, but it is important to be able to connect to your spiritual side, be able to spend time perhaps in your church or your mosques or in your community. I think that it's very important to be able to connect and be able to pray, and maybe to think about something bigger than us. And the most important thing is to remember that we're all connected. We are all connected. This is also a place that maybe you want to sit and meditate, or set an intention, practice those positive affirmations. Maybe you're really working towards something and you want to sit and maybe visualize that happening. What's it going to look like? Who's going to be there? You know, just this real connection with yourself, something bigger, coming inward instead of like being so aware of everything on the outside, you know, connecting with your heart, connecting with your breath. Anything like this that just helps you connect with whatever it is that you want to connect with, that's peaceful, then do that, you know, and you can do that every day. You can do that every day for a minute. I do it every day, in the morning and at night. I connect. I close my eyes. I send good wishes. I think about what I'm grateful for. I set my intention for the day. The way I start my day absolutely has a huge impact on how the rest of my day goes, my mindset. I really try to set the tone for my day. Not to say that my day doesn't go sideways. It does often, but I really try to set the tone. I really try to wake up grateful and go to bed thankful. So I just thought that I would share that with you. Recreation is such a fun topic, an area of self-care, and this is for all ages, all stages. It's everything. Recreation is anything you like to do in your spare time, and it can be anything and all things. It can be skydiving, it can be painting, right? So it's looking at like, what are the things you used to love that you just haven't been able to do, either because of the pandemic or parenting or work or other obligations, and looking at, where can I find a little of that in my community? Or I'm going to call up that place and see if I can go back there. The really, the things that you used to love to do that you stopped doing because we had to get out of our routines, not just because of the pandemic, but we often just get busy and stop doing the things that we love to do. Yoga studios are opening. I'm so excited to be able to get back to my community yoga studio, be a part of something, go somewhere, lay my mat down, feel the energy of other people. Maybe it's you want to get your bike fixed up and start riding your bike, going to the park, having a picnic, whatever it is, do that. Do that thing. Spring's almost here. Yeah, so just start thinking about those things, right? That's self-care. So that brings us to the end of our self-care workshop. I hope that you have found it useful. I hope that it has got you starting about some of the things that you can do around your self-care to be able to show yourself some love. And just some closing thoughts here on that piece of paper that we started jotting our thoughts down on. I hope that you can look down and see your why and see it a bit clearer now. I hope that you have turned an I should into an I will, something that you'll start doing to take better care of yourself. I really do challenge you to write down a positive affirmation and read it or recite it once a day, once a week. And just remember that you are worthy. It's important. It's a priority for you to take care of yourself. And I just wanted to thank you once again for joining me here today. Wellness Services at Surrey Place offers over 100 in-person and live virtual events each month. To register, please visit mysurreyplace.ca. View our calendar of events and go ahead and create an account for yourself so that you can register for the free events that are of interest for you. We also offer many additional recorded events and hundreds of resources that may be of interest to you. Recorded events and resources are also available to view for free at a time most convenient for you at surreyplace.ca/resources. We invite you to join the Family Connections group by visiting the Facebook group on your screen here. The link can also be found below in the description. We really hope that you enjoyed this free wellness event. Please take a moment to complete a brief survey by taking a picture of the QR code that you see here on your screen with your mobile device, or by clicking the link in the description below. Thank you so much. Have a great day.